Avast and ahoy once again to ye mateys! I be Josh the Pirate, and I'm back for another episode of Tactics Tuesday, delving into the world of tabletop RPGs, and basically having a run at them, see if I can figure out how they work and what's going on with them, and I've got a treat for you today. I'm going to be talking about Cairn, a game by Yochai Gal. Which I feel like is possibly a pseudonym or an acronym. Pseudonym, probably. Yes, it's a neat little system. I had a look at it before, so I actually sort of know a little bit about it. It's a cool little idea. So once again, I'm going to build a character using the system and see how it all works. You know what? I can hear the voices in my head far too easily, so we should probably put on a little bit of music, possibly something to match my cockpit. Here we go. There we are. Thamiel, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you are well. How's life treating you? So, we have this beautiful book. I got it from... I was watching a Phoenix Wacky stream. They were supported by a... what type of system is it? Let's see. Where am I? What am I doing? Where's my book? It is very similar to it's like D&D Light, I suppose would be the best way of putting it. It's an adventure game for a facilitator, the Warden in this instance, and at least one other player. Players act as hardened adventurers exploring a dark and mysterious wood filled with strange folk, hidden treasure, and unspeakable monstrosities. Features public domain art, it borrows heavily from Knave and Into the Odd. I have heard of Knave, I have never heard of Into the Odd. Though it's also credits Jim Parkin for Weird North and Gavin Norman for the Dolmen Wood. As well as Chris McDowell for Into the Odd and Ben Milton for Knave. So there you are. Hopefully that is in some way revealing to you. It is classless. It is the premise is that you basically play just adventurers without any specific race or class. There isn't any specificity regarding race. I suppose you could say, I'm playing a dwarf. It wouldn't really matter. Or I'm playing an elf or a human, whatever you like, really. You could be a freaking a one-legged gnome if you wanted to be, and it wouldn't matter. The characters may be powerful, but they are also vulnerable to harm in its many forms. Death is just around the corner, so it is page 3 has basically the writer sets out their premise to make something their philosophies when they designed it. Shared objectives, player choice is very important to them. Neutrality, the Warden role is to portray the rules, situations, and NPCs and narrative clearly whilst acting as a neutral arbiter. It is also very much baked into the system that you are working together. It's collaborative. I feel like the author does not like PvP conflict, which is interesting. I don't disagree with that, but I think building it into the system that you shouldn't do that is interesting. Then the next page is a full A4 spread of principles for the DM. A lot of it is sort of obvious, or should be obvious. Though there's a couple of things that I find interesting, mostly because I personally disagree with it. For example, pay attention to the needs and wants of the players, but put realistic opportunities in their path. Not a problem with that. Where am I? What was it? The things so you should telegraph serious danger to players when it is present. The more dangerous, the more obvious. The game world produces real risk and pain of death, of pain and death for the characters. Put traps in plain sight and let the players take time to figure out a solution. Give players a solid choice to force outcomes when the situation lulls. Use binary, so A or B responses when they're being vague. Ensure that the player character's actions leave their mark on the game world. Work together using this conversational method to keep the game going. Nothing there I strongly disagree with, I suppose. There we go. Default to context and realism rather than numbers and mechanics. If something the players want to do is sincerely impossible, no role will allow them to do it. There's something in me that goes, sure. But I suppose within reason, though. Yeah, if they say, I want to fly now, I say, well, no, you can't. That's just... But, I suppose there's a level of trust that you have with your players not to be dicks. Saves cover a great deal of uncertain situations and are often all that is necessary for risky actions. When a player describes and how they leverage the situation, is that sensible, then let it happen. I do quite like this. A dagger to your throat will kill you, regardless of your expensive armor or your impressive training. I like that. I didn't say players aren't dicks, Thamio, I said they're not allowed to be. But no, this is it. I've had dickish players in the past, but I find I don't play with them anymore. I think that's an important thing, that you do settle on that, and you do make a point of, I actively seek out non-dickish players, and I deliberately don't play with those people I've had difficulties with in the past. I am blessed that it's sort of something I give a fair amount of my life to. Mind you, Thamio, I believe you do as well, don't you? So yeah, I ran a campaign for a group of close friends for about a year during the beginning of COVID. Because we were all housebound, so it worked quite well. And I got so sick of it because they were all murder hobos. Because they're not pro D&D players, they're not professional role players or actors that I am now very used to playing with. And I was a bit spoiled by my experience of playing online and actually having professionals to work with. And all of a sudden I had this bunch of chuckle muffins going around demanding magic items from all of their quest givers, and I'm just like, no. Just no. And the world reacted to them, and they always took it in good part when the world basically just told them to fuck off. But I found after the 5th or 6th time, I was like, I'm getting really tired of this. Because the trick is, when you're unpleasant to an NPC, you're being unpleasant to me. I'm role-playing that person. So I'm having to cop your crap. Even though I've been playing 15 years. Well then, Thamio, you're 7 years ahead of me. I only started playing in 2015, so you have got 8 years more experience than me. I suppose what I mean when I say I'm a professional is that I've been a professional actor since I was 17, so I'm, coming up on 20 years for that. And, this is it, but I am an actor, professional, I find, is more a state of mind, my friend. And it's something that I actively seek to do. And not in any way implying that you don't. It's more just sort of that is more I'm referring to my old players, a couple of whom I still play with, but most of them I hung out with them yesterday. We are still good friends, I just don't, I don't play D&D with them anymore, because I just don't want to. And we had a good long chat about it, but we decided eventually not to. But yeah, I've played with people on stream that I'm like, never that one again. And I won't name names because some of them do still stream, but not with me. I won't have that. A lot of no names. No, I won't, because several are still, and I think it's quite unprofessional to go out slagging people off live. Talk to me in Discord later. And I still won't name names. I dead set. I don't want to. I don't like bad mouthing people. I'm not that kind of person. No, I mean no names. Yeah. I apologize. Yes. So this is a topic to come in on. Hey, Ardana, how are you feeling, my dear? I am aware you're not particularly. How's your vertigo? I hope you're feeling a little bit better. Anyway, I've gotten on a bit of a sidetrack, but we are talking about Cairn. This, I don't think it's new. I found it while I was watching Phoenix Iwaki. Not that he ran it, but one of his sponsors. That's all right, Thamio. One of his sponsors had a store, and it was like any purchase you made went to the charity or went to Phoenix. I'm not sure. I can't remember. It was a while back, but I was like, I'll go have a look. And I saw the PDF of this there for like $5. I was like, yeah, I'll flick him $5 for a PDF of an interesting game. Getting better, but moving too fast is still a bad idea. I'm sorry to hear that, but yes, I'm glad you're improving. Also, I hope the music is at about the right level. It's impossible for me to listen and check without you guys, without feedback. This is one of my new pieces of Sirenscape music. Sirenscape is providing our music this evening. Sirenscape.com, amazing work. Hey, Ravensteel! Happy Pride Month to you! Good on you, my friend. And thank you for joining me. Yes, we are doing Tactics Tuesday, delving into Cairn. And I'm currently just going through I quite like... So it's 24 pages long, the rulebook. And the first 3 pages are why I did this, as in from the perspective of the person who wrote it, and then how I expect you to do it. And a lot of it boils down to, don't be a dick. And I have quite a lot of respect for that. There is a few things I go like, I don't know. But a lot of the points are like narrative focus and make sure it's fun for the players, make sure it's fun for the person running the game. Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, if you have any particular recommendations, Ardana, I think every stream, this is only the second time I've done this, but yeah, every time I even mention this idea, people are like, oh, do this one. I've got a list of like 6 already that I need to go into. But yeah, there is a lot out there. I personally have already made one of my own that never even saw the light of day. We basically just did a heavy-duty chop down on what 5e is, and simplified the heck out of it for live performance, specifically for like live in-theater performance. Never got a name or anything, and we never did it live at all because the people who asked me to do it didn't like what I did. Or at least 2 of them did, and one of them was like, I don't think that's very good, I don't want to do it that way. And I was just like, well, you don't know how to do this, neither of you knew how to do this, so why don't we do what I want to do? And they were like, yeah, so we didn't. I looked into the Atla Avatar RPG and the system seemed kind of confusing. The Avatar Legends system, if it's the Avatar Legends system, we have run it on Corsair's Cove. You can find it in the VODs on our !YouTube, Ravensteel. My brother, Rhythm, ran it. Because Rhythm is a massive Avatar nerd, and ran it with Dan Suelto and Maddie Mullins and AJ Winters and Axel Bevington and Matt Brown from Split the Party, yeah, they're pretty good. It was, yeah. It's not really for me. I think the big trick of it is there isn't a huge amount of level advancement, so the characters basically as they are is how they are. And there's 3 tiers of beings in the world. There is normal people, then there are the heroes of this particular story, and then there are the heroes of the world, which are an order of magnitude more powerful than you could ever possibly be. And it's just sort of like I kind of want to be like Aang, and I can't. I literally can't. So, yeah. But the story they told was a really good one. Rhythm is a pretty good DM, and it also involved teaching his players how the system worked. It's vaguely based on Fate, which I need to get my head around. Yeah, it's quite a good one. And the story was really cool. If you enjoy... it's very much sort of teen angst. It's very much like a high school drama, the way they played it. It was quite fun. So yeah, you can check that out on our YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Cairn. There's a place in Australia called Cairns, and it's really hard to not say but it's a cairn, as in like some way where you would bury somebody. So yeah, page 2 is rules for the DM, or in this case, it's called the Warden. Page 3 is principles for the players, and there is a lot, and it's basically a lot of it just comes down to don't be a dick. Are you sure? We do a good job of distracting me. Yeah, well, the whole point of this is interaction with audience, and, you know, I'm literally in the moment, like, not literally, I'm currently in the process of writing a business plan, because of course, as Cove is I'm wanting it to be my full-time job. And part of it, like, they like, identify your point of difference, identify the thing that you want to hammer home as the thing that you do. And I'm like, audience participation, audience interactivity, because that was always the thing that I loved the most about Twitch, is that you could have this real-time interaction with your audience, and so that's my focus. So yeah, I can get distracted, and that's the point. I can take as long as I like about this, because it's just me, and I'm not wasting anybody else's time except yours. And you can leave. Please don't. Yeah. Don't be a dick, fundamentally. It talks about agency, it talks about caution. Fighting is a choice, and rarely a wise one. Consider whether violence is the best way to achieve your goals. Try to stack the odds in your favor and retreat when things seem unfavorable. A lot of it's common sense. Set your goals and use your meager means to take steps forwards. Expect nothing, earn your reputation. Yeah, teamwork. Make sure everybody gets a go. It's really nice. It's actually, I really quite like it. Themio should be working. Alright, so character creation. I also quite like the artwork in it. It's all black and white. It's all sort of, it's clearly done by a small group of people. The artwork is credited. So, character creation is based, there are 3 stats. Strength, dex, and willpower. Strength combines strength and constitution, functionally. If you think of it as D&D light, you won't go far wrong as far as building the character is concerned. However, there aren't any real classes or races. It is just a human or whatever you like. Like, there is no specificity on race, so you can be whatever you want. But with a bow or a sword, or wearing some armor, with a couple of coins in their pockets, you can become a wizard by the simple expedient of finding a book with magic in it and reading those magic spells. There are 100 spells available in the world, but obviously I imagine the DM is fully capable of homebrewing more shit if you want. I haven't gotten that far in the book yet. I have pretty much read, which is cool, because I like the 24 pages, because I read it in an hour this afternoon, rather than the Battletech one, where I was like, okay, I don't think I understand. I still don't. I have tried. So, first of all, you choose or roll your PC's name and background from their respective tables on page 5. The tables are all 20-sided dice. There are 20 options, so you can choose a male name and a female name. There are 20 options. They're all sort of old, sort of Saxon, or think medieval England and sort of Scandi names. You didn't get an answer yesterday. What was your stance on posting PDFs in your Discord? Go for it. Go for your life. Yeah, happy to have him, Ravensteel, and thanks for joining the Discord. Good on you. 20 names. Not a lot, but you can also make up your own. It does say choose or roll. This is really just to help you if you need the help. And for the purposes of character creation, I think I will roll on it, just because it's sort of the intended experience. So we will have up, here's the book, here's our character sheet. This is the one that comes in the book, and I quite like it. It's simple, but you can obviously see the D&D influence. But that is the whole thing right there. That's it. So kind of neat. And then you roll for your character's traits. So, shall we, first of all, let's have a 1d2 in chat to determine gender, if we're a boy or a girl, because I have no strong feelings on the matter one way or t'other. So, anybody wants to throw up roll space 2, boy will be 2, and girl will be 1. And then we need some d20s in chat as well. I'll roll one of the d20s for a first name. So Thamiel got a 2. We are a, I think I said boy, will be 2, and I got a 16. So we are, his first name is Melnax. Okay, great. I'm going to top of the sheet. I guess there? Feel like Melnax. And Thamiel, do you want to chuck up a second one for his surname? We've got various ones like Candlewick, Harkness, Smythe, Wolder, Swinney, Melnax Swinney. It's a name. There's enough for usability, yeah, and it gives you a starting point. 4. There we go. Candlewick. Melnax Candlewick. Wick. Thank you. Cool. Melnax Candlewick. Awesome. And now we roll for a background. So kind of find out what kind of person he was before becoming a sort of adventurer. You can also choose the background because it doesn't really have any effect on what he winds up being. So the options are alchemist, blacksmith, butcher, burglar, carpenter, cleric, gambler, which is a profession, gravedigger, herbalist, hunter, magician, mercenary, merchant, miner, outlaw, performer, pickpocket, smuggler, servant, or ranger. And I'll roll the dice. Roll space 20. Ooh, nat 20! He's a ranger! Okay. Pop it there. Ranger! Okay, great. Now, you got 2 options, so then we roll stats to give him his strength, his dex, and his will. To do that, you roll 3d6s. For each of their character ability scores in order. You may then swap any 2. So very limited. So let us roll. Currently obsessed with the 7th Sea. The game of Lost Eons also looks really good. I've heard many things. I've been told I need to look into the 7th Sea because it's pirates, right? Yes. Ardana, would you do me the favor of rolling me a d6 in chat? I'll roll one, and anybody else, Thamior, anybody else is welcome to roll one as well. Roll space 6. And we will get, so that's a 3 from me. Ardana, no D, just the 6. Don't need the D. 5, good. Ravensteel. This might be easier to use as a template for kids to get into D&D because they don't have to deal with the other stats that really matter in D&D. Yeah, exactly. Ravensteel got a 4. Nice. Okay. Thamiel got a 5. Ardana got a 5. Wow, okay, this is good. So, our first 3 means a 3, a 5, and a 5. So that's 13 for his strength. That's pretty good. And now we currently have a 4 from Ravensteel for Dex. I'll throw up another one. Anybody else welcome to give me a 3rd? That's another 3 from me. I'm rolling 3s. It's not so good. That's still 8 so far. Unfortunately, this music is completely inappropriate for any D&D I've done so far. Like, maybe the Plane of Water? Swashbuckling, not necessarily pirates. Think era of pirates mixed with Vikings, mixed with the Musketeers. Dope. Yeah, I'm down. That does sound fun. Got another 6! Oof! Okay, that's 14 for Dex. This is good. Don't hear a lot of music. Oh. Okay. If I crank it. I'm listening to sort of a techno. That's no good. It might be just very quiet. I'll crank the music up. Check the stream on my phone. I'm good. What? Okay, thank you. No. Great. Leave me alone. Pardon me, bear with me a second. Check the stream on my phone. I'm good. What? Okay, I can hear it now. I can hear it. Okay. On my phone when I listen to the stream. Oh, it stopped now. Can you hear it now? I can hear it very clearly. And I did it on my phone and it was working just fine. Doesn't add hugely to the experience one way or the other. Alrighty, so we have strength, we have dex, now we need will. And will is sort of like all the mental stats all put together, but there's a little bit of feed over into dex. Dex is sort of like mental dexterity as well as physical dexterity, and will would basically cover everything else. Which I don't hate if you're going to simplify the system down a lot. So let's roll some more dice. 3 more d6s in chat. Anybody who fancies it, please. ! Roll space 6. Five from Thamiel. This guy's gonna be dope. Unless we get a pair of ones, in which case he's a bit of a dumbass. Melnax, Candlewick. Currently a 5 in will. I'll throw up 1. Roll space 6. 4, and Ardana got a 4 and I got a 5. Okay, wow. This 15. 15 in will. All right. I can't click on that. I need my form fillable. Hang on. There we are. 15. Is it? No. Oh, I do apologize. Pair of 5s. Yeah, my bad. Still, 14 isn't dope. I think I'm gonna swap the dex and the strength. Because I've read the rules, and I think strength is probably the most important stat. The big place that this game differs from D&D, so far as I can tell, is firstly, you don't have much in the way of hit points. You see, your hit points are down here, and you roll a single d6 to determine your PC's starting hit protection, which is HP, not hit points. You don't have hit points. Your hit points are basically your strength. So whenever you take damage, it goes onto your strength after it's bypassed your hit protection and your armor. So think of hit protection as like almost like a halo, like overshield, before it actually starts hurting your armor. Although it's actually the other way around. The armor decreases. You take, say, 5 points of damage. Your armor rating is 2, so you take 5 off it. You take 2 off it. Then you take 3 hit points straight to your hit protection. Once that's gone, which regenerates on a short rest, and then when that's gone, it starts damaging your strength. That's important because whenever you're rolling for ability checks, which are super rare, it's really just ability checks are more to determine if you avoid bad things, rather than if you manage to do good things. You say, I want to do a thing, depending on its difficulty, the warden can just say, hey, bloody zeros! Good to see you, my friend! Long time! We are doing a bit of a deep dive on a game system called Cairn. It's an RPG system, it looks pretty fun. I think it's a goer. I'm going to give it a go. I'm definitely going to get a crew together and run it as a one-shot Wednesday, just to see. Because it's interesting. Yeah. Well, Bloody Zeros, can you roll me 1d6 in chat, please? Exclamation mark roll space 6. I've been very well, mate. Yeah. Actually, I've been extremely well. Other than being a bit crook a few weeks ago, I'm having a great time. 5! Thank you, Bloody. Because that is a good number to get. 5. That is almost the biggest number we could get. So that is good. That's a good one. Because he wants as much hit protection as he can. This guy is tough. This guy, Menlax Candlewick, the Ranger, is pretty darn good so far. So you have those 3 skills. You've got 14, 13, 14 in Strength, Dex, and Will. And you have to roll under them on a d20 to succeed a save. That d6 in chat is unbalanced. Yeah, right. I agree, Thamio. That's interesting. My chat doesn't appear to be scrolling. There we go. Alrighty. I need that. Never mind. So, next, what do we need to do? Starting gear. Yeah. So, you have an inventory of 10 things. You have a backpack, which can contain 6 items. Then you can wear 2 on your upper body, and 2 more things in each hand. Like 1 in each hand. For a total of 10. If you ever have 10 on you, however, you are considered one of the very few status effects, which is deprived. Up there. Most items only take up a single slot. Small items can be bundled together. Slots are abstract and can be rearranged as per the warden's discretion, the DM's discretion. Let's roll for some stuff. Occasionally you can get bulky items like 2-handed stuff or particularly awkward to carry. So you get starting gear. All player characters begin with 3 days worth of rations, which takes up 1 slot. So we'll say that one there. 3 days of rations. And a torch, which apparently takes up a slot, because no one can see in the dark in this world. But these, I would say, would be reusable. And 3d6 worth of gold pieces, which, to save a bit of time, I will just roll here, in my beautiful wooden forged dice box. Finally, some ones. We have 7 gold pieces. 2 1s and a 5. So we have 7 gold pieces. It is a 10 to 10 to 10. Copper, 10 coppers to a silver, 10 silvers to a gold. 7 gold pieces there. That's alright. If we're gonna roll bad, might as well do it on stuff that doesn't super matter. Alright. So, then you roll once on each of the starting gear tables. Wooden Forge items are all very nice. Heck yeah, they are. I cannot agree more. Mine is extremely pretty. I have Australian Jarrah. Little dice box with my name engraved on it. Because I did a favor for them. And I'm going to be doing something very soon with them. I've got a sort of commission coming in, but it's sneaky and I'm not allowed to tell you very much about it. But stuff will be seen about it eventually. Yes, isn't it? Yeah, bloody, it's so pretty. The inside is gorgeous as well. My favorite thing actually about them is these little things. So, this is from the insert for putting a mini in. And it's squishy. So it's padding. And it's, you can put a mini in there and not break it when you move, which is good. I use it to transport my glass D20, which is, look at that, look at it. It's so shiny, it's faceted. Mine looks a lot like yours. Yes. Oh, yeah. Because did Thamior win one, or did you buy one? I think you won dice, didn't you, Thamior? And then you bought one. I'm glad. It's the favorite. My favorite wood they use is the Australian blackwood. It's so pretty. Yes, you bought one. I remember because I was streaming and you and Nelderberry got chatting in chat about it. Cool. All right, so we need to roll on some gear tables. So for their and there's a trait tables. Lots of tables in this. Gear tables. Come on, that's traits. Okay. So, first of all, some armor. Bloody, would you like to roll me a d20 in chat? ! roll space 20 for armor. The options are, on a 1 to 3, he gets nothing. On a 4 to 14, he gets Brigandine armor, which is pretty simple. Gives you an armor value of 1. 15 to 19 is chainmail, which gives you 2. And 20, a straight 20, will get him plate mail. A 9, Brigandine. Alright. Worst things have happened. Dana, would you like to roll me a d20 as well, please? Because we are also going to need to work out his helmet and or shield situation. Brigandine's not bad. So, Brigandine will be on his body. Brigadine. There we are. And Adana got an 11. No helmet or shield. Unfortunately, a 1 through 11 means no helmet or shield. A 14 to 16 gives you a helmet, a 17 to 19 gets you a shield, and a 20 gets you a helmet and shield. However, your total armor value cannot be more than 3. So he is already 1/3 of the way to his max armor stat, just with the Brigandine. So that's okay. Right, now I'm going to need one for his weapon. So Thamior, would you roll me a d20, please? The options here, 1 to 5 are dagger, cudgel, or staff. 6 to 14, sword, mace, and axe. 15 to 19, longbow, crossbow, sling. An 11, that's sword, mace, and axe. And then on a 20, he gets a hammer, a halberd, a war hammer, or a battle axe. And I think this is or, not and. I don't think he gets a dagger, a cudgel, and a staff, or in our case, with an 11, a sword, a mace, and an axe. I think he just gets 1. It doesn't make sense that he would get all 3. You can't use all 3. And in this game, there isn't any mechanical difference between them, really. So I don't see why you'd get all 3. Using 2 weapons does have an effect, but why do you need 3? So I think just the 1. So, Thamior, seeing as you rolled it, what do you reckon? Sword, mace, or axe? And the next thing we'll be rolling for is Expeditionary Gear, of which there are 20 options. They're all different, so someone can roll me a d20. Roll 3. A 1. Okay, sword. Love it. There's a sword. Sword. And that is we'll put a little tick mark in there. No, that's what we'll do. A little cross. There we are. That's in one of his hands. Cool. Does somebody want to chuck me up another one? I might roll this one. If anybody else does, we'll use that for the next. 16! Where was that? Expeditionary Gear, we get 25 feet of rope. That's handy. None of this 50 feet of rope. Nice. And now we get some tools. So the Expeditionary Gear list is Air Bladder, Antitoxin, Cart, which gets you an extra 4 slots but is bulky, so it requires 2 hands to use and move, 10 feet of chain, a dowsing rod, fire oil, a grappling hook, a large sack, a large trap, lockpicks, manacles, a pick, a 10-foot pole, a pulley, repellent, presumably like animal repellent. 25 feet of rope, spirit ward, spyglass, tinderbox, wolfsbane. Again, some sort of repellent, I think. So, yeah, does anybody want to chuck me up? We're going to need one for the tools and one for the trinkets, and then one for the bonus item table. So, seeing as I have 3 engaged viewers, why don't we have one from each of you? Bloody, Adana, and Thami or Ravensteel, if you're around, I'll take any. Because the bonus item means that we roll again anyway, so... yeah, chuck them up, guys. Let's see what we get. I'll just take them in order. Boom, there we are. Thamio got a nat 20. The 20's in chat. Aldana got a 3. And Bloody got a 17. Nice. Let's have some nat 20s up in chat. And, right, so 20. On the tools, we get tongs. Okay. Potentially useful. I can imagine loads of uses for tongs. Trinket table 17. We get a sponge. 16 would have gotten us some soap. A sponge. I can't spell. G-E. Yeah. And a 3 from Ardana is a bonus item. A tool or a trinket. Yes, 1 to 5 is tool or trinket. 6 to 13 is Expeditionary Gear. 14 to 17 is armor or weapon. You can choose which one. And 18 to 20 is a spell book. So I'll roll on the tool or trinket table. Base 20. A 7 on tools or trinkets. Oh, we can pick. Well, a crowbar or some incense. I can never hear the word tongs without thinking of the NPC in Oblivion who keeps handing out calipers and tongs. I never played Oblivion. I only ever played Skyrim. I've never played another Elder Scrolls series game. So, the options are crowbar or incense. What do we think? He's already got tongs, so I don't need a crowbar. Because you can use tongs as a crowbar in a pinch. So I'm going to go incense. Sense. Morrowind is the best Elder Scrolls game, but Oblivion is really good as well. Oh, okay. There you are. It's a strong opinion. Incense. There we are. No, that. Incense. So this is it. Here's, like, just the basic gear you get fills your bag almost completely. Though I would say that a sponge and incense probably only take up 1 slot. For the 360, that device only broke down to 5 years ago. Haven't gotten replaced yet. 2.5 years ago and hasn't gotten replaced yet. If you've still got a 360, I'm impressed that it only broke down 2.5 years ago. If I had my Xbox One, I think I got rid of the 360 just after I got back from the UK. So like 2015, maybe 2016. So I think I'm going to put the incense and the sponge in together because it doesn't make sense that they would both take up the same amount of space as 25 feet of rope, Started playing Skyrim, so it took me a while to get used to the early 2000s graphics of Morrowind, but the story and gameplay of Morrowind really makes up for the graphics. Right. Still have a GameCube and a 64, which are still often used by my son. Wow. I have in this... my housemate has a functional PS1, and a couple of games for it, but the thing is, I don't hold any great... I didn't get into gaming, video gaming, until Xbox came out. And I had a PS2 as well, but I actually got the PS2 after the Xbox came out. The family had an Xbox, we had a GameCube, and we had a PS2 because I have two brothers. So we each just got one. At one point, I owned the GameCube, but then I sold it to the little brother and used the money, part of that, to go for a PS2. No, I got the 360 from that. And just gave him my old PS2 when I was done with it. Because Hugh used that way more than I did. Alright. So, that's our gear. And it also has a system for, or basically a bunch of tables to roll on, for physique and skin and virtues, vice, hair, face, speech, misfortunes, reputation, clothing. But that's all very much your own call, I think. So I don't see why I should do that. Only console I played was the NES. Then I didn't play any video games until I started gaming on PC in the early 2007. Yeah, I mean, we're all streamers. We're members of the glorious PC gaming master race. Now, I have an Xbox One. Yeah, Xbox One. But I use it mostly for watching movies because it has Netflix, and I have a Plex server, which is the best way. But I've still got a bunch of games for it. I played Witcher. Thing is, I like fighting games. If I was to play an Elder Scrolls game now, I would play it on console. I don't particularly care for that style of game on a PC. I'm a tactics gamer, though. I really enjoy, as is fairly obvious from my streaming, I enjoy things like Total War. Civilization is very much my jam. Civ 5, I lost nearly 10,000 hours on. You know, you say you've mastered something after the first 10,000 hours? Yes. What else did I really like? Yeah, it's tactical, that sort of games. BattleTech, the new game. One of my early entry-level drugs was Civilization 2. By golly, I lost a lot of time to that. 360 controller I got an Xbox controller for Christmas. It's been 23 years since I last played with a controller. Bloody started gaming on the NES and the Sega Genesis. Then got a PS1, PS2, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and now I pretty much play it solely on PC. It's the end point, mate. It's where you go. Yeah. Yeah, all through my childhood it was video game consoles. But then we all grew up and built our own computers. Now both my brothers and I all have homemade computers. Joe is the middle brother is particularly good at building them, and my last computer he helped me build. Built this one on my own. This baby, his name's Maurice. He's a big black monster, hence the name. So that's how we build the character. Oh, Witcher is so easy with a mouse and keyboard. Aiming and firing with a mouse is a breeze. You see, you say that. I do. That is not my experience. I find it incredibly counterintuitive, and I much prefer a console. I much prefer joysticks. It's because I only started gaming I learned first-person shooters and the like on Halo. I didn't play before Halo. I went to a Nintendo birthday party, as in a Mario Kart birthday party when I was 12, and someone had miscalculated, and there were 17 of us. Or a brother, I think my friend's younger brother wanted to play. So there were 16 people, there were 16 controllers and 17 people. So I got one go. Didn't lose, I went on record, I came 12th. And they were like, well, I think Josh could sit out now. And I was like, what, I didn't lose? And they're like, no, you can sit down now and somebody else can have a go. I'm like, all right, fine. And I didn't get another go for 4 hours. And I was like, well, this sucks. And they were like, yeah, but you're not very good at it. So watch and learn. And I'm like, I'm not learning shit from watching. And then we had a diving competition, and I won because I'm good at diving. But this is it. I came home, and I was a bit miffed. And my mum and dad were like, they had not allowed me a gaming console before then. That Christmas, we got a PS1 because Mum and Dad were actually concerned I was being left behind. And they blame themselves for what I currently do. Yeah, they could have tried harder to dissuade me, but they would not have succeeded. Interestingly, it was that same friend who got me into Warhammer, which was my gateway drug for D&D. So yeah, it's all Christian's fault. My Swedish millionaire friend. I went to school in Singapore when I was 12, so there's a sort of a melting pot, and you meet a lot of weird people who are out there, like all of their parents, all of my school friends' parents were loaded, because they were all out in Singapore doing extremely high-paid, like high professional jobs, and his dad runs a paper company in Sweden, and it's like a multi-millionaire. Some games I play more comfortably on controller, others I feel more comfortable with the mouse and keyboard. Exactly, like tactical games, you simply can't play, for example, Homeworld with a console controller. You just can't. It's why Halo Wars was conceptually stupid. Like, why did you release it on a console? It's a PC game. Other than, like, select all the dudes and tell them to go to a place. Which is what Ogre Tactics are, but it's not all tactical games. But yeah, I'm a serious console gamer for first-person shooters and things like The Witcher as well. I played Witcher on console and loved the heck out of it. I blame my partner for getting me into gaming. He introduced me to Mamorpiga, and the rest is history. That is the story I've heard many times. Yeah, my friend Rahema, who is going to be joining us on the channel soon, got into gaming with her ex, many years ago my friend Pat, who introduced her to Mass Effect on his computer when he was living with a bunch of other dudes during uni, and she got hooked. She now has her own gaming PC, her husband is not a gamer, and is a little baffled that his wife is. Everyone comes in and sees her computer and goes, "Oh dude, sick computer," and he's like, "Hey, it's not mine." Cairn is getting there. She has quite a nice computer, she doesn't use it to game. But Cairn has played all the way through Halo with me. Halo 1, like Combat Evolved, when they re-released it, I was like, I won't play this. And if you wanted to play it with me, it would be kind of cool, because I don't have a sibling around to play it right now with, because both of them are busy. So yeah, we co-opted the entire thing. And she's really good. Very good sniper. I am normally the sniper, so it was a bit of a difficult thing for me. I was like, okay, I'll be the close assault person. I died a lot. But then, yeah, my brothers came over and we played Halo Reach together, the four of us, and tried to get me into Quake battle maps. Not a fan of the first-person shooter games. Neither is Karen particularly. Like, she's quite good at it, but yeah, no, my brothers and I are better. And yeah, we hit like a sledgehammer and just kept running, and Karen got one kill in the first 15 minutes of the first level we played, and she was like, I don't think I'm needed here. And about 20 minutes after that, we all died except her because she was so far behind. And we were like, don't come any further, and she's like, why not? And I said, run back a bit, we'll respawn. She was basically a mobile respawn point for us for a little while. Alrighty, well, then now let's talk about how the game actually works. Back on the subject of Cairn. So, what you do... yeah, it's basically based on... so we need to now look at our little sheetlet that we have made. So his armor class is 1, because he has Brigandine armor. So we slap that in there. 1. So... and notes, he has a sword. Swords do... Sorry, let's find the relevant piece of equipment. Actually, it says equipment list on page 9 for related armor and slot values. Smaller items can be bundled together. If you would like something closer to traditional classes, refer to the list of optional gear packages on page 10. So you can, like, be a ranger by specifically saying, I'll just have that. if that's the way you choose to play. But I think that's something you need to decide prior to rolling on the random tables. And I really kind of like the random tables because it kind of makes you just some dude who's like, you know, a farmhand, or in this case, a ranger, just somebody a forester, somebody who hunts in the wilderness and, you know, traps and things like that, and comes across something real nasty that they have to do the thing. Ardana, yeah, it was the same for me. My partner got into a map with his uncle. Playing sniper is basically every run of Skyrim I played at the time. Let me get headshots on them for about an hour, then grew tired of the parkour nonsense and never played again. Right. Spear, sword, mace, flail, axe, etc. are all 1d8 damage. 1d8 of damage. Daggers, cudgels, sickles, staves, they all do 1d6. Halberds, warhammers, longbows do 10. A sling does 1d4. And a bow does 1d6 and is considered bulky. And a crossbow does 1d8 and is considered bulky. A long sword. Oh, right. Interesting. Bulky meaning 2 hands. So swords do 1d8, and they're a single-handed weapon. Gear and tools, these are just values of them. So you could theoretically spend your 7 gold pieces early and buy some stuff. You could, say, take a knight as a class, automatically getting you chainmail and a helmet, a heraldric cape, manacles, fine rope, and a longsword, but that feels real cheap, because those are things you'd want. But these are all fairly heavy-duty. Like, you get a class as sort of a dwarf, a prickly root, pinecone lattice, which is armor, apparently, a trowel, a jar of forest ants. What kind of dwarf? Presumably, this is not traditional Lord of the Rings dwarf, certainly. A hand drill and a poisonous mushroom. Fighter comes with a glaive and a scimitar and a pair of short swords. Wow. Tobacco pouch, a pipe, and a dice set, but no armor at all. Yeah. So that's basically all you need to know about it. I mean, does it say anything about the gear that we've got? Doesn't say what it's used for. Just in sort of a lot of it does rely on your own general knowledge. Quite a lot of what you are supposed to know how the thing works, and what it's used for. But then that being said, I haven't encountered anything I don't know what it's used for. I'm a little lost on why you would want a sponge, but it's a trinket. You know, you might not want it. You may never need it. Kind of fun. So, in the rules. The rules start on page 13 of the 24. And we haven't gotten to the list of what the magic spells yet do. And that's 4 pages. This is how light the rules are. So, rules. Each of the 3 abilities are used in different circumstances. See the saves. So, strength is used for anything requiring physical power, like lifting gates, bending bars, resisting poison, etc. Dexterity used for saves requiring poise, speed, and reflexes like dodging, climbing, sneaking, or balancing. Willpower is used for saves to persuade, deceive, interrogate, intimidate, charm, provoke, or manipulate spells. Minecraft rules for Sponge. I have never played Minecraft. I'm a bad PC gamer. So I don't know. Is Sponge like the best thing in Minecraft? Saves. A save is a roll to avoid bad outcomes from risky choices and circumstances. PCs roll a d20 for an appropriate ability score. If they equal or roll under that ability score, they succeed. Otherwise, they fail. A 1 is always a success, and a 20 is always a failure. So nat 1s and nat 20s are reversed in terms of whether or not they're useful. Minecraft sponges can remove 3 by 3 meters of water. I would, as a warden, not allow that. So, The examples in this are quite helpful because it is relatively simple. B encounters a group of heavily armed goblins standing guard before a tunnel entrance. Her player carefully plots a course, recognizing that her 13 dexterity makes sneaking past the guards the best option. She rolls a d20, getting a 10, a success. So she rolls a stealth check. But it's considered a save, and so rather than having loads of different skills and things that you're proficient in and things you aren't, you just have one stat that you're quite good at, and if you get injured, your stats go down. Which makes sense. You are less good at something if you're hurt. I like it. I think it's sensible. Healing. Resting for a few moments and having a drink of water restores lost HP. Sucking on your sponge. But leaves the party exposed. Ability lost, see page 14, which is the next page, can usually be restored with a week's rest facilitated by a healer or another appropriate source of expertise. Some of these services are free, while magical or expedient means of recovery may come at a cost. Dear me. So, deprivation and fatigue. This is kind of important. A PC deprived of a crucial need, such as food or rest, is unable to recover HP or ability scores. So it's like exhaustion. Anyone deprived for more than a day adds fatigue to their inventory. For each day, each fatigue occupies one slot and lasts until the PC can recuperate safely for a full night, after which they recover all occupied slots. PC can also gain fatigue by casting spells or through events if in the fiction. So, here's the trick. You can only have 10 things on your person without generating fatigue, without disadvantaging yourself, and fatigue decreases the amount of things you can carry. Again, makes perfect sense. Because if you're tired, you can't carry as much. Love it. If you have 9 points of fatigue, you can't wear armor and only use a single hand weapon. Again, you're just so exhausted. It does actually have really good logical underpinning without any great complexity. It's very sensible. Armor. Before calculating damage to hit points, or hit protection in this instance, subtract the target's armor value from the result of the damage roll. A shield and similar armor provides a bonus, +1 normally, but only while the item is held or worn. No one can have more than 3 armor. Shields, gauntlets, and helms may provide additional benefits according to their use. There is a table for how NPCs react to you. There is something called morale. NPCs must pass a will save to avoid fleeing when they take their first casualty, and again when they lose half their number in combat. Some groups may use their leader's will in place of their own. Lone foes must save when they are reduced to 0 HP. Morale does not affect player characters, because when you're reduced to 0 HP, you don't just drop unconscious. Then there's a page about casting spells, wealth, treasure, hirelings, spellbooks, and scrolls. Anybody can cast a spell, as long as they have a book that has the spell in it. Each book contains a single spell, so if you want a spell, it takes an inventory slot. So if you want to be a wizard with 5 spells, that's 5 of your 10 inventory slots. Other than that, there is a few relics, items imbued with magical spells or power. They do not cause fatigue. So a spellbook contains a single spell and takes up 1 slot. They cannot be transcribed or created. Instead, they are recovered from places like tombs, dungeons, and manors. Spellbooks sometimes display unusual properties or limitations, such as producing a foul or an earthly smell. When opened, possessing an innate intelligence, or being legible only when held in moonlight. The hell's the use in that? Spellbooks will attract the attention of those who seek arcane power. Gee, like I didn't get enough sleep last night. Anyone can cast a spell by holding a spellbook in both hands and reading its contents aloud. They must then add a fatigue to your inventory, occupying 1 slot. Casting a spell is hard and time-consuming and difficult. Given time and safety, players can enhance a spell's impact, affecting multiple targets, increasing its power without any additional cost. If the player character is deprived or in danger, the Warden may require a player character to make a will save to avoid any ill effects from casting the spell. Consequences of failure are on par with the intended effect, and may result in added fatigue, the destruction of the spellbook, injury, or even death. Depends on the spell. Relics are even similar. There's a list of them. They're not a very long list. There are 6 items on the list. 5 even. And one of them is just relics, so it's actually 4. Honey Clasp, Falconer's Friend, Staff of Silence, and Lay Caps. I imagine it's the sort of thing the Warden can make up more. Combat. So the way it works... The game is typically played without strict time accounting. However, in a fight or circumstances where timing is helpful, use rounds to keep track of when something occurs. A round is roughly 10 seconds. Slight difference from D&D, but 6 always felt a bit arbitrary of in-game time and is comprised of turns. On their turn, a character may move up to 40 feet and take 1 action. That's it. That's your lot. More realistic, possibly more irritating. That can be casting a spell, attacking, or making a second move, so you can dash. Or some other reasonable action. Each round, the player characters declare what they are doing before the dice are rolled, in similar manner to Quest. If a character attempts something risky, the Warden will call for a save or an appropriate player for the appropriate player. So, making an attack action does not require a roll. You are assumed to be proficient with the thing you are doing to the point where you smack at them. And it is that person... so the turn, the Warden will telegraph the most likely actions taken by NPCs or monsters. At the start of combat, each player character must make a dex save to act before their opponents. I would argue that dex is probably the least useful ability, generally speaking, though a lot of... Depends how you want to play it. If you want to play a super sneaky character, dex very useful, obviously. Being good at avoiding damage, like hiding would definitely be a valid course of action for your turn, and I suppose it requires a little bit more thinking outside the box. Which could be interesting, and it's why I kind of want to try it. Because until you actually play a game, you can't really give it a yay, thumbs up or thumbs down. Attacking and damage. The attacker rolls their weapon die and subtracts the target's armor. Then deals the remaining total to their opponent's HP. Unarmed attacks will always do 1d4. So, a wood troll roars, this is the example, swinging its club at B, who has 5 HP. The club does 1d10 damage, and the Warden rolls a 4. They subtract 1 on account of B's leather armor, leaving B with 2 hit points remaining. Pretty simple. Multiple attackers. This is something I really like. If multiple attackers target the same foe, roll all damage dice and keep the single highest result. So, it's like having advantage. It's not like you take all the damage. If you are set upon by a dozen guys, you just get the shit kicked out of you, but they all only roll 1d8. You take maximum 8, rather than 64, But they do have an increased chance of rolling max. Attacking modifiers. If fighting from a position of weakness, such as through cover or with bound hands, the attack is considered impaired, and the attacker must roll 1d4 damage regardless of the attacking dice used for the attack. If fighting from a position of advantage, such as against a helpless foe or through a daring maneuver, the attack is enhanced, allowing the attacker to roll 1d12 damage instead of their normal dice. So like having advantage or like auto-critting, which I also kind of like. It's simple, it makes sense, and it allows for a good amount of rule of cool, which is very much my jam. Dual weapons. If attacking with 2 weapons at once, it's the same as multiple attacking people. You roll damage for both dice, but only keep the better. Which, obviously, it's a good idea to have two-handed weapons. Two-hand weapons, way better. The benefit of having a single-hand weapon is that they do more damage. But I would probably be rolling 2 dice for this, for me. Blast. These are more of a spells things. Attacks with blast quality affect all targets in the noted area, rolling separately for each affected character. Blast refers to anything from explosions to huge cleaving onslaughts to the impact of a meteorite. If unsure how many targets can be affected, roll the related damage die for a result. Critical damage. Damage that reduces a target's HP below 0 decreases a target's strength by the amount remaining. This is the key, and why having strength is good. They must then make a strength save to avoid critical damage, which will be harder because they've just lost some of their strength. Additionally, some enemies have special abilities or effects that are triggered when their target fails a critical damage save. Any PC that suffers critical damage cannot do anything but crawl weakly, gasping for life. If given aid and rest, they will stabilize. If left untreated, they will die within the hour. So, a little bit of potential for cock-up cascade there. Because if you're one party member down in the first round of the fight, like a single good hit from a troll, from the earlier example, the wood troll has a 1d10. B has 5 hit points plus 1 for their armor, so if it gets a 7, it just straight up crits her immediately. It just blows right past any hit protection she has, plus her armor, and she's down, and potentially she's taken a single point of strength damage, and if she gets unlucky, fails her critical damage and is immediately just knocked prone. Likelihood compared with like risk, I think maybe there's a good balance in there, but that's 2 rolls that have to go badly, which isn't very many, as we know from playing D&D, and B is down. So, interesting, and I would be curious to try it to see how balanced it is. Because having played Savage Worlds, Cock-Up Cascade is very much a thing. Any player character... No, we've done that. Scars. This is interesting. And another really interesting, cool little mechanic. I think it's really smart. I've gotten quite excited about this. I like this. So, when damage occurs to a PC that reduces their HP to exactly 0, they are sometimes changed irrevocably, which is a good word and doesn't get used enough. See the Scars table on the following page for more. Let's go and have a look at that Scars table, because it's pretty dope. So, when you get a Scar... so when you roll it, when you are reduced exactly to 0, so say with that troll attack, if it had rolled a 6 on the dice, it would have done B's 5 HP plus their 1 from their armor and knocked them straight to 0. And they would then roll a 1d12 for this Scar table. Now the options on it are, number 1, a lasting Scar. You roll 1d6 and you get a lasting scar on either your neck, hands, eye, chest, legs, or ear. You then roll another 1d6. If the total is higher than your max HP, your HP becomes the new result. So you get a scar, but you also get better. And that's just option 1. If you are option 3, which is walloped, which I really enjoy, and again, a word that isn't used enough. You are sent flying and land flat on your face, winded. You are deprived until you can rest for a few hours, and deprived is a problematic situation. You can't restore hit points or ability points. You then roll 1d6 and add the amount to your max HP. Broken limb, which is option number 4. Roll 1d6. On a 1 to 2, it's your leg. On a 3 to 4, it's your arm. On a 5, it's your rib. On a 6, it's your skull. Which isn't a limb, but we'll give it to him. Once mended, which will take a while, and the warden is sort of obligated to make sure this does take a while, at least a couple of weeks to recover this, roll 2d6. If the total is higher than your max HP, take the new result. So the higher you roll on this, the better, because you have the option to... Number 6 here is reorientating head wound. Roll 1d6. Oh, wow. Okay. So this doesn't hurt you in any meaningful way. You roll 1d6. On a 1 to 2, it's a strength. 3 to 4, dex. 5 to 6, will. Then you roll the stat again. Essentially, you roll 3d6, and if the total is higher than your current ability score, the new one is your new ability score. You just straight up get better. So you actually improve by taking injuries, gaining experience. I kind of like it. But you have to get pretty lucky, because they have to nail exactly your hit points. Rebrained. Some hidden part of your psyche is not loose. Roll 3d6. If the total is higher than your max will, that is the new result. Sundered. An appendage is torn off, crippled or useless. The warden will tell you which. Then make a will save. If you pass, increase your max will by 1d6. Good and bad. Mortal wound. You are deprived and out of action. You die in 1 hour unless healed. Upon recovery, roll 2d6. The new result is your max HP. You have to take that one, though. That's an 11 on a d12. Is it a d12 or is it 2d6? Does not specify, so I'm going to assume a d12 because it is 12 options. And hamstrung is pretty good. You can barely move until you get serious help or rest. After recovery, roll 3d6. If the total is higher than your max dex, you take the new result. It's pretty good, but it's specific, and that's 7, which is the average of 2d6. So, whereas I would want them to be all equally likely, so 1d12 seems to make more sense for me. 12 is doomed. Death seems ever so close. But somehow you survived. If your next save against critical damage is a fail, you die horribly. You just die. If you pass, and bear in mind, you've just taken a scar, which means you have no hit points left, so you're about to start rolling for critical damage. If you pass, roll 3d6. If the total is higher than your max HP, take the new result. So you could get, if you're very lucky, 18 HP out of that. But you have to get very lucky. All kind of neat, right? So that's scars. Ability score loss. If a player character's strength is reduced to 0, they die. If their dex is reduced to 0, they are paralyzed. If their will is reduced to 0, they are delirious. Complete dex and will loss renders the character unable to act until they are restored through extended rest or extraordinary means. Unconsciousness and death. When a character dies, the player is free to create a new character or take control of a hireling. There is whole rules for hirelings. They immediately join the party in order to reduce downtime. Neat. Don't hate that. Detachments. Large groups of similar combatants fighting together are treated as a single detachment. When a detachment takes critical damage, it is routed or significantly weakened. When it reaches 0 strength, it is destroyed. Attacks against detachments by individuals are impaired, excluding blast damage. Attacks against individuals by detachments are enhanced and deal blast damage. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that one. I think I would have to see it in action. Retreat. Running away from a dire situation always requires a successful dex save, as well as a safe destination to run to. Yeah, I'll say. Then it goes to a bestiary. That's it. That's the rules. It gives you rules for creating monsters, general principles, and so forth. Ability scores. 3 is deficient, 6 is weak, 10 is average, 14 is noteworthy, and 18 is legendary. Adjust as necessary. Basically, give them an HP, an armor, a strength, a dex, and a will, a weapon, and how much it does, special items and qualities. Then an engaging descriptor of appearance or demeanor, a quirk, tactic, or peculiarity making this NPC unique, and a special effect or critical damage consequence. It's not a lot of rules, hey. That's it. I have just read aloud basically all the rules. There's a couple of suggestions for bestiary. There is 6 items in the bestiary, but rules for creating an infinite number more. There is the Root Goblin, which has 4 hit points, 8 strength, 14 dex, and 8 will. With a spear that does 1d6 damage. It avoids combat unless they have the advantage, such as greater numbers. They guard their stolen goods to the death, and they prize spellbooks. They are willing to trade them. I know, Adana, I like these too. I really want to try it. Hooded Men. They get a spellbook. Choose one. Charm, Hypnotize, Push-Pull, and Shield. They have 12 hit points, 9 strength, 12 dex, and 14 will. They have a lay staff. That's a lot. 12 hit points is quite a lot compared to... We have 5. Ours is a basic bitch guy. But this is the thing. There isn't a huge amount of character progression, except by getting scars. They're the Watchers of the Wood, a cult that derive their power from the ley lines, rune stones, and the like. Critical damage. Leech a part of the victim's soul. 1d4 will damage when they do critical damage. Then there's Cobble Hounds, Wood Troll, a Frost Elf, and a Boggart. And it is rather like the Harry Potter Boggart. Then there is a list of 100 spells and what they do. Adhere, an object is covered in extremely sticky slime. Anchor, a strong wire sprouts from your arms, affixing itself to 2 points within 50 feet on each side. So basically Spider-Man, and more besides. Pacify? Ooh. A creature near you has an aversion to violence. Now. That's neat. Trying out more RPG systems. I just dream on. Probably not even getting close to getting a group together for that. Then it's got the sheet that I'm using to fill in. Rule summary on page 22, just how it all works. And then it's the final page. That's the whole book. And I don't hate it. I think it's neat. I think it's really cute. PCs have 10 inventory slots, 4 on their body and 6 in their backpack, which acts as a sleeping bag if emptied. Most items take up 1 slot. Deprivation, and they add fatigue to their... If deprived for more than a day, they are adding fatigue to their inventory. Healing, a moment's rest, and a swig of water will restore all lost HP, so you can regain it super easy. It's literally like a minute to take a breather. I would even say it would appear that they mean like you can regain HP in combat by basically sitting out a round or 2. I would have to rule 2. Just like you don't do anything, you hide and don't do anything other than hide for 20 seconds. Yeah, you can take a breather and like, okay, I'm good to go again. But while you're doing that, your friends are taking the damage. That's it. That really is it. So I will read the credits list because I think it's important. Content design and layout was by Yochai Gal. Editing by Jim Parkin. Cover design by Cosmic Orrery. You can see the cover down... that one there. You can see that there in the corner is the cover. It's quite pretty. And character sheet by Licopio, which is what we had up before. So yeah, that's Cairn. And a better contrast to last week's BattleTech, I cannot think of. It's super easy. Kind of, and it makes very good logical sense, and it's simple and easy to get your head around. Sounds like a really good system for strategic combat, switching out wounded PCs with fresh ones against big baddie. Yeah, neat idea. If the baddie lets you, is the trick. You can move 40 feet in 10 seconds, you can move 80 if you really book it. Without the class options, I at once worry that there isn't enough special abilities to make it interesting in the long term. Because part of the joy of like D&D is like power fantasy. Like I didn't ask how big the room was. I cast Fireball. I can't do that. Josh can pick up a sword and swing it. I'm not necessarily very good at it, but I can envisage myself being able to do that. So it's less of a sort of power fantasy, although, you go on the adventure, you find spell books, you gain better gear. That would be the level up system for it, is basically finding better gear, because, if you want to buy a suit of armor that makes you actually a bit tanky and able to negate a fair amount of incoming damage, it's going to cost you. It's an entire party's wages for like 2-3 weeks. So interesting. Spell books particularly, where it would seem it is the main breadth of it. Like, everybody starts off as a sword wielder and becomes a bit magical later on, and I do like the fact that everybody can do that. So I think this is a really cool system. I would really like to try it, and happy to have some people over and play it maybe. In fact, I think I like the idea of putting the call out on our Discord. If people, to see if anybody wants to come and play on the One Shot Wednesdays. So tell you what, guys, if you're not already on our Discord, that's it there. Hop on over, and when I'm putting together games, I will seek players for this sort of thing. I think this would be a really good One Shot Wednesday. And I'm wanting to get our One Shot Wednesdays back up and running. The issue with One Shot Wednesday is, as I learned while I was programming it on Roll for Damage, it takes ages to, just get together a crew. So I need a big staple of people who are interested in coming on playing one-shots with me, and, to do that, the best place would be my Discord. So please, head on over there and, join up. Well, guys, that was fun. So I think I might go away from here now, because that was nice and simple and easy, and this was sort of more what my intention was for the show. It was more like an hour and a half of chatting about a game system, going through it all, working out how it all works. I think it's really cool, really simple, really easy to get your head around. Would strongly recommend Cairn, having not played it yet. If you liked Quest, you probably like this, is my verdict. 3.5 chainsaws out of 5 from me. Why wasn't I on your Discord yet? Weird. Probably because I'd only just gotten the link working properly, Thamior. That's probably why. Always up for gaming, just don't get enough time as a player. I know, right? Same. Forever DM here. I know the feeling, Ardana. Alrighty, well, I suppose we should probably go and raid somebody. And we never get to raid GM's Workshop, so I'm going to do that. So stick around, and we will chuck a raid over to GM's Workshop, because he's a bit of a champ, and he raids us on the semi-regular. So, GM's Workshop, what's he doing at the moment? Looks like he's doing some channel prep. So, we will chuck a raid over to him. Have a lovely evening. Gladly try and set something up for 7C sometime. Heck yeah! Alright, Ardana, sounds great. Yeah, cool. Awesome. We'll be back on Thursday night for more Humblewood. And beyond that, next Monday, we will be having special surprise new Humblewood, or old Humblewood. Flux and Fire Crew will be back here on Corsair's Cove for more Humblewood. Starting up that campaign again, the extended continuing story of Trish Caper, Helvig, Nevermore, and Jude Littlefoot. And D&D 3.5 someday? Oh man, that'll take me more than an hour and a half. See, this is again it, Damior. I only got into D&D 5e. I have never played another edition of D&D. 5e is my only thing. So I think I would have to get someone like Dag, or if you're good at it, you on, to teach me, to talk me through it, essentially, which might not be a bad idea. The intention is, as you've noticed, the screen is sort of bifurcated. My intention is to have guests on the other side of the screen. Brendan has already identified his keenness to do that. That is why I suggested playing a 3.5 suggestion someday. Noted. Well, yeah, I will be in contact with you both then, Ardana and Thamior. So, I'm going to start that raid now. Please come back and see us another day, but thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening, guys. It was an absolute pleasure. You bloody champions. Throw your favourite raid emotes up in chat. Tell GM's Workshop where you came from. Show them the love. And we will see you next time on Thursday night for more Corsair's Cove. So, bye everybody.